Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms. On today's show, the Yankees dropped the last game against the Tigers. Aaron Boone does something that outraged nearly everyone in baseball. Jordan Montgomery is victimized by the offense yet again, and we preview the pitching matchups in the series against Cleveland, which starts tonight in the Bronx. All that next on Locked On Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, Yankee fans. Happy Friday. Happy Earth Day. Welcome to Locked On Yankees. It is a very pretty day here in New York, and the Yankees, after playing in really awful weather in Detroit, are here for a very nice day, at least for today. It'll be a nice switch for them. Gleyber Torres probably won't be wearing anything around his head like he was wearing in Detroit because, some of those guys aren't really used to the cold weather, and it's funny to see them when they have to be stuck in it. But before we get into what happened in Detroit and everything else, you can subscribe to us in Apple, Google, Odyssey, Spotify, Stitcher, and every other podcasting platform available. You can subscribe and watch us on YouTube. And if you have a smart device, which I do in my room, but I'm not going to say her name because she's very touchy, you can say, play podcast Locked On Yankees. So, Abby, the Yankees dropped the last game of a series, which is not surprising because that is their MO, at least for the last couple of seasons. So it wasn't that surprising, but it was the typical Yankee deflating loss in the final game of a series where the offense does absolutely nothing. The pitcher does everything he can to stay in the game, and it's just...
Yeah, you want to take a look at some of the numbers right now for the Yankees?
Yes, let's do that because the offense is offensively bad right now.
Yeah, with runners in scoring position, the Yankees are hitting 176. That is 26th in Major League Baseball, in the entire league, not just in the American League.
There's actually people worse than them. I can't believe it.
Their OPS with runners in scoring position, 563. If there's anything encouraging about this, it's that the Blue Jays have a worse OPS with runners in scoring position than the Yankees do.
That's surprising.
There's that.
Yeah.
How many RBIs do they have with runners in scoring? I'm not even going with fancy stats right now. I'm just going by traditional metrics because traditional metrics are enough to get fans outraged right now.
Yeah,
and I don't need to drag fancy stats into this.
Yeah,
they have
most fans don't
RBIs with runners in scoring position. An RBI is sort of it can be. I don't want to say it's a useless stat. It does indicate something, but it's not. It's just not the favored metric anymore. But I think in this case, it's relevant because it just shows the lack of production and how lacking that production actually is. And this is supposed to be a lineup full of heavy hitters. And granted, you had the weather in Cleveland. April baseball is always unpredictable, but this is bad.
Yeah.
And I still stand by, it is too early to panic. It's probably not too early to be annoyed though. I will say. Go ahead, Yankees fans, scream into the void on Twitter. It's not too early to be annoyed because this is not what this lineup was supposed to do. This is not – the team was supposed to be based around the offense, and it's not showing up. Right. We saw this last year too. Mm-hmm. And last year, though, it wasn't that there was an overcorrection. It just got streaky.
Yes. Yep.
Is this what they are? Are they – they did get better defensively. The pitching, the starting staff is it's there. It is not the deepest, but it's a good staff. Mm-hmm. So is this what the team is? Are we ready to say this is their identity? They're not the heavy hitting team that we thought they would be.
Right. Because there are some guys.
Or are we ready to say that?
that you would hope would rebound and so far aren't. I mentioned him being cold. Glaber, he's cold at the plate as well, not just on
Yeah.
the field. He really needs to turn things around. Someone had posted a graphic that maybe MLB on Fox posted on Instagram a couple of years ago, where they were predicting how well Glaber was going to do based on how well he did in 2018 and 2019. And he has not met those expectations at all. I mean, they were predicting like 40 home run years from him, and nowhere near that right now.
Glaber
and
was
he's a big
supposed to
key.
be. Glaber and Andujar both were supposed to be like these perennial all-stars, guys that you build the team around, not building pieces, which is sort of what Glaber is right now. Like, he's a piece, but he's not a building block piece. He is he's part of the puzzle, but how much of it is, how much of one is he at this point? Like, look, it's a small sample size. It's still April. But I do see a lot of people saying, like, maybe the Yankees should have traded Glaber when they had the chance to. And, maybe that take isn't necessarily wrong.
Right. I mean, of course,
it's tough to give up on a young player like that, but.
Yeah. Quickly, speaking of young players that the Yankees gave up on, Clint Frazier, appendicitis. Just a quick note, because I saw that this morning. I mean, this kid has the worst luck. I mean, I was kind of hoping that bad luck would not follow him. Like, I thought maybe, I don't know.
Chicago, fresh start.
Yeah, and appendicitis.
I mean, at least you can, that's one you can, bounce back from relatively quickly, but, it's, man, that's brutal.
Mm-hmm. So yesterday's game was also annoying if you're a Yankee fan watching it, because the Yankees were pretty much shut down by Michael Pineda for 5 innings, which is frustrating to watch because he was on the Yankees. He had all this potential. It didn't quite happen for him. And it was funny because when I saw the matchup, I was like, wait, Pineda's on the Tigers? Like, all those things that happened, we spoke about this during the lockout. There were so many things that happened that I didn't remember. And, when people would say Mets pitcher Max Scherzer, for a brief moment, my brain was, oh, right. That happened. I forgot about that. So I forgot that Pineda was with the Tigers. And yeah, Yankee fans, it's like a 1-2 punch kind of thing. Like, it's bad enough that the offense didn't do anything, but the fact that it was Michael Pineda for 5 innings really drove that home for Yankee fans and made it really frustrating to watch yesterday's game. But on the flip side, Jordan Montgomery, this poor kid, and I said it, I did a crossover with Sully last night, and I said it, he's just so sweet and so Southern and so polite in his interviews and, talking about his outing. And, I joked that I would be the worst teammate because, as we said on yesterday's show, yes, it's a team sport, but you get into the Hall of Fame by yourself. You win MVPs by yourself. You win Cy Youngs by yourself. Like, you're the one who wins the award. They don't give it to the whole team. Yes, the team helps and stuff like that. But
Jacob deGrom is a perfect example of that. He won with the fewest amount of wins for a starting pitcher. And when the BBWA presented him with the award, they made a joke about how he doesn't get any support from the team.
Yeah.
Like, deGrom is a perfect example of, individual accomplishments in this game are important and they are meaningful. I do see Miguel Cabrera's point of view when he's like, it's about effing winning.
Yeah.
Spare all the people who don't like those words.
Yes.
But I see that point of view, but maybe it's easy for him to talk. Look, he's on a rebuilding team and he's a leader in that clubhouse. Like, he does need to say that. Those are some good things to say. He's also probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. So it's easy for him to, say that his individual accomplishments, it just sort of overshadows, or it shouldn't overshadow winning because they need to win. But it's still, individual accomplishments in this game are important.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gets you into the Hall of Fame. It's not like other sports. Like in hockey, sort of your crowning achievement is, did you help your team win a Stanley Cup? And there are players that get into the Hall of Fame without winning a Stanley Cup. But that's every time I talk to members of the Hockey Hall of Fame, it's it's always like, well, what is his legacy and what was his team's legacy? Like, what legacy did he leave on this team? How many cups did they win? How close did they get? It's not like that in baseball.
Right.
Jacob deGrom's going to get into the Hall of Fame whether he wins a World Series or not.
Yeah.
Probably.
I would think
Injuries
so.
in recent years have maybe sort of put a damper. But, this game is about individual achievement still, and individual performances that help catapult a team to a World Series or to the playoffs. It's baseball's kind of strange that way. Like, no other sport focuses on individual achievements the way that baseball does.
Right. Now, speaking of individual achievements, we'll talk about that coming up next. But first, it's time to talk about Built Bar and their puffs. Now, Sully said last night that he likes the banana cream pie puff. I like churro. Honestly, I'm not a big banana fan. I don't know if anyone else was forced to eat bananas by their moms when they were younger, but I kind of rebelled against that, and now I don't eat banana because of it. But churro is great. It's cinnamony. There's coconut marshmallow, and the puffs are going to be your new favorites. All puffs and Built Bars are covered in 100% chocolate. They taste amazing. They're low calorie, high protein, and obviously replace your candy bars with them because they're good for you and they taste good. And if you go to Built.com and scroll to the macros chart, you'll just be blown away by the stats. Other flavors that we love to discuss all the time: coconut almond, coconut by itself. The coconut almond, I say this all the time, it's a mix between Mounds and Almond Joy. That's how good it is. And my favorite, mint brownie. Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then they figure out how to make it healthy, and I have no idea how they do it, but they pull it off every time. So go to Built.com, use our promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Again, that's LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Abby, do you like jewelry?
I do.
I do too. I'm more of a ring person than a necklace person, but I do like jewelry. So whether she prefers a statement piece or everyday subtle elegance, BlueNile.com has fine jewelry options for every mom. Shop high-quality classic earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, or gemstone pendant necklaces. Celebrating the special women in your life, on BlueNile.com, you can easily navigate thousands of fine jewelry options at every price point. They're the original online jeweler. Since 1999, they've helped millions of couples create their perfect engagement ring, and they're committed to ensuring that the highest ethical standards are observed when sourcing diamonds and jewelry. This Mother's Day, give your mom something she'll treasure, whether it's or with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. Locked On Yankees listeners, you get $50 off a $500 purchase, and this podcast exclusive is only good through Mother's Day. So use code LOCKEDON, that's code LOCKEDON, plus every order is insured, it ships free, it arrives in packaging that won't give it away. So shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Now make your next listen Locked On Now. We have recaps of MLB games from all over the country with analysts from our local experts taking fans through the season like no other network. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. So let's continue the Jordan Montgomery thing, just because we need to talk about the fact that he was the first starter to make it through six innings this year. So good for him for doing that. You know, they're all getting a little further in their experience, except for Garrett Cole. And he looked good in those 6 innings, painting the corners. Like, he's really become a quietly good pitcher that it feels like people overlook him in a way, even though there was a lot of discussion about the fact that the offense doesn't do anything for him. But he did look very strong yesterday. 6 innings, 1 run on 3 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, he really I noticed the way he was working the corners too. He had some good command, and that's sort of been, I guess, what we've come to know from him.
Yeah.
But he's not like, you're right, he doesn't get as much attention as I think maybe Severino has some interest because he's coming back from injury, and Severino was a big name a few years ago, and Cole gets the most attention. And, you know, the Yankees, for all their hitting woes, they do have the 3rd best overall ERA in baseball. It's funny, the top teams are the Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Giants, and then Cleveland.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
It's yeah. I mean, it's we still don't know who's pitching today for Cleveland, but wait, did I pull up?
Yeah, we were looking at Yankees.com before we started recording, and the lineups are out. We'll talk about this in segment 3. The lineups are out. We'll preview everything, but the pitcher for Cleveland was not up yet, and that was at 3:30. So we thought, something odd is happening.
Eli Morgan will start for the Guardians in New York tomorrow. Oh, that was yesterday. So Eli Morgan, it looks like.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
God, did I say the other name? Guardians.
Kurt McCarty will get the start on Saturday.
That's odd.
So Eli Morgan, but yeah, but MLB hasn't updated that, I guess. Jameson Taillon going today. DJ LeMahieu back at the top of the order. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know. I feel like Boone is playing around too much with the lineup because some guys are kind of touchy about where they are in the lineup, and I feel like that's going to screw with them a little bit. But I think he's just trying to get a feel for where people are working. It's the beginning of the season still, and you're just trying to figure out who works where and how well. And
yeah, it's April. You're still going to mess around with the lineups a little bit. A few years ago when DJ was at the top of the order, that was a pretty good season for the Yankees. What was it, 2019? When he was mostly at the top of the order, if I'm remembering correctly. I mean, I don't have my scorecards from a few years ago, but he seemed to sort of give the top of the order kind of a jolt of energy. Yeah, I thought so at least.
Yeah, and it always felt like
batting leadoff again today.
Yeah, and it always felt like whenever he came up to bat, if someone was on second, he would automatically score them. Like he was that reliable, which was why they call him the machine, because he was really, and you could tell something was off with him last year. It wasn't just that he was playing bad. You could tell that he was nursing something. So he looks a lot better this year. I've said it already, and you can tell because a few of his hits have been to the opposite field, and you want to see that from him. So, yeah, I like him at the top as well.
But then we've got Gallo and Glaber down back in the lineup.
Yeah.
Towards the bottom of the order, and I'm sure that can't make fans probably aren't too happy about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Gallo realizes that, they're not going to put him in a good position because he hasn't been hitting. He did get a hit yesterday, I believe, but
Oh, of course. I mean, he's a veteran. He's self-aware enough. He knows, he understands. He's not sitting there saying, well, am I not hitting number 4?
Right.
That's not his personality either. He seems to be taking this very hard based on some of the comments that I've seen from him.
Yeah.
He really seems to be bothered by this slump, which is what you want to see. He's reacting. He has emotion. He cares.
Yeah. You want them to care. You don't want them to sit there and be like, oh, no. You want them to be like, yeah, no, I am frustrated with myself and, I want to do well, obviously, and I don't know what's going on. It's almost like Cole the other day. He couldn't figure out, he's like, I was throwing pitches, they were hitting them, and, I'm trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. Hopefully he'll figure that out soon. Yesterday's game, big moment in the game. Miguel Cabrera comes up. He hadn't had a hit all game, so he was still looking for 3,000. And thanks to Aaron Boone intentionally walking him, he's still looking for hit number 3,000. And everyone freaked out. Not everyone, but the majority of people who aren't Yankee fans were freaking out about that whole thing.
It's like, it's a fine line between, I guess, history and strategy.
Yeah.
And Aaron Boone went with the strategy.
Right.
He chose to favor that, which, I mean, as somebody who is paid to manage a baseball team to wins, I guess you can't, like, at the end of the day, you can't really argue with that, but, like, you can because, I don't know, I do see all the, like, the spicy takes that are like, Boone's disrespecting the game, fire Aaron Boone into the sun. I'm, like, briefly glancing at Twitter here right now. I guess it's an unwritten rule. you're supposed to throw to him. I don't really have any sort of like spicy take on this. I mean, I'm sort of enjoying seeing all of the hot takes.
Well, they could have done what the Rays did to A-Rod, because A-Rod was sitting on 2,999, and I can't remember which pitcher it was, and it wasn't an intentional walk. It was like an unintentional intentional walk. The guy did not give him anything to hit. Like, it was, you could tell that he was really trying to avoid giving A-Rod anything to hit. Maybe the Yankees could have done that with Cabrera, but who knows with Cabrera? Maybe he could have like reached out and hit something and gotten that 3,000th hit, even if someone was trying to do that. I don't know either, but he didn't get it. He'll probably get it. Maybe he'll get it in his first at bat tonight.
Well, I mean, Miguel Cabrera kind of called out Aaron Boone after that. He said, "It's one hit before 3,000, guy. Is your reliever getting me out more important than history? That's not a good manager."
Well,
and there's a lot of oh wait, no, that's New York Porch Sports.
Oh yeah.
Somebody else sent me a text that said like, "Did you see Miguel Cabrera's reaction?" And I was like, "No," because I was in my like writing hole last night. I'm not gonna get fooled by New York Porch. Now I'm looking through my text messages, but this is kind of pointless because I've got to go through like a bunch of memes and stuff, and I don't
New York Porch Sports has tricked actual newscasts. So
yeah, I'm not gonna get caught with that one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna look through my text messages anymore either, because there's just too many like dumb memes and gifs on this group chat. When somebody was trying to message me about Miguel Cabrera's reaction, I was like, I'll look later, and now I don't know where to find it later. I had a really big enterprise story that came out today on Bleacher Report, and I've been working on this story for a couple months, and it's fallen apart a couple times, and I've had to salvage it. And I actually really liked the way it came out. But like, if you want to peek behind the like creative process behind the mind of like a tortured writer, I was like, I turned off all alerts on my computer. I like turned off Twitter. I completely turned off my phone, because I was like, I just need to get this story like out and on paper.
Yeah.
And at one point I was like having a massive breakdown about it, because it's not what I wanted it to be. I was like ready to cry. I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever written in my life. I had such a different vision for this story. I sold my editors on a different vision of this story, and I'm turning in something completely different. They're going to hate me. Everyone's going to rip me. And then I'm done with the story, and I get it in the CMS, and I'm reading it over, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Okay, I like how this turned out, actually. I'm proud of this. Like, that's just like sort of the mind of a tortured writer. And sometimes I just have to turn off everything, and I even like close my curtains. I'm like, it's a dark cave, and it just like helps me work. So I ignored everybody's text messages and Twitter when all this controversy was happening yesterday. Man, don't become a writer. It's like, we like to torture ourselves. I don't even think we like to torture ourselves. I think we just do inadvertently torture ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm a writer, because I was like born to torture myself. Yeah. It's such a roller coaster of emotions when you are writing something that's not just like a game story, like I can bang out a game story. I've spent more than 10 years being out at games writing deadline game stories. But when I'm writing something that like I really want to write and I feel strongly about, I'm so convinced until the very last line that it's the worst thing I've ever written, and I'm gonna get fired and everyone's gonna hate me.
I know that feeling.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
In a moment, we'll preview the Cleveland series, although we kind of did, but we'll go a little more in depth into the pitching matchups if they're available. But first, BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting stats and sports info. You got basketball playoffs, you got Major League Baseball, you got hockey, golf. There's everything that you can think of. Find all the latest sports development, league reviews, and news. And BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. I will say this about writing. Every time I thought something was really horrible that I turned in, I got the most compliments on
Yeah.
that piece, which I never understood that. And then anything I thought was, oh, all right, this isn't that bad. Crickets.
Well, and I tend
Always.
to have sort of like a simplistic writing style. My philosophy on writing is that this is sports. I'm not curing cancer. I want to appeal to a broad fan base of sports fans, be it the most casual sports fan or somebody who is very in depth and follows along with a lot of fancy stats and a lot of different philosophies and really gets into their sport or specific storylines. I like to try and appeal to just about everybody, so I have sort of a simplistic writing style, and I tell this to every writer who asks me for advice: write the way you talk.
Yes.
It because that's how the authenticity comes through in your writing.
Right.
And there's times though that then I read writers who do have a little bit like more verbose writing style, and they are maybe better at like narrative or setting the scene setting, and I'm like, God, I'm the worst.
Right.
I write like journalism 101. Like, I'm the worst. How do I match like I don't match up to some of these writers, but then I'm like proud of my writing style, and I'm like giving advice to all these younger writers because like writing it's so difficult to teach. It's something that's like it's kind of innate, and reporting tactics are things that we can teach. That's You go to journalism school to learn about how to report and various like forms of media, public relations and graphic design, things like that. You go to journalism school to learn the mechanisms of journalism. Journalism school, I don't think is going to teach you like how to write. You might be a better writer with more practice, but it's like such an innate thing. And so when people ask me for writing advice, I don't have any except be yourself. Write the way you talk, write as yourself. And I'm like so proud of that sometimes, but then I can also just like tear myself down. And we all do this as writers.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's like I was sent, one of my best friends in Kansas City, he used to work for the Royals, and I sent him the story that I wrote on Bleacher Today. It's a hockey story. He grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, so he's big into hockey. And I was like, hey, sorry, I've been MIA all week. This is what I was working on. And he's like, how do you think it turned out? I was like, well, great for now. But when you messaged me on Wednesday, I was like knee deep in a breakdown. So like, sorry, I didn't respond to your text messages. I was too busy torturing myself. And he was like, yeah, that's just about everything I've ever written. And he's like, press releases included.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I think we're just hard on ourselves in creative professions sometimes. And anybody who's listening to this podcast, if you're in any sort of like creative profession, or if you just like, you do something creative on the side, give yourself a pat on the back today, because you're actually doing okay. Even if you think you're not,
Right.
you're probably doing okay. Happy Friday. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So tonight's matchup, Eli Morgan. He has 1 win, no losses yet. 4.50 ERA with 6 strikeouts. Jamison Tyone, 0-1 with a 3.72 ERA and 8 strikeouts. And as we said, the lineup, DJ LeMahieu at the top, Judge, Rizzo, Stanton playing right. It's the big boy. It's the big boy outfield. I'm so excited. Okay, wait, let's do this again.
Big boy outfield.
Yeah, LeMahieu is DHing at the top. Judge in center, Rizzo at first, Stanton in right, Josh Donaldson at third, Gallo in left, Glaber at second. Good job, Boone. Kiner Falefa at short, and Trevino at catcher. Yeah, I like that. I can deal with that lineup. Like you said, DJ probably should be at the top, near the top most of the time.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not a manager though.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not privy to the same analytic information that they're getting.
Right.
But it just seemed like that was something that worked really well in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And the offense is not really clicking right now. So like maybe try that again.
Yeah.
And Glaber at second, he's got to get some confidence going. And
Yes.
he's going to need to be able to, he's got to be able to figure it out.
And playing in a position that he's more comfortable
I
in
just
will
wonder
probably help
how
him, you know?
I wonder how long the leash is with him. Like, at what point do they say, okay, we've had enough of this? He isn't producing, and we do have an everyday second baseman in DJ LeMahieu. Maybe we look to sort of make a change. I don't want to say give up on him, but like, I don't know. I just wonder how long the leash is with him.
I feel like if the rest of the offense kind of picks up a little bit and starts not being dog poop,
They can hide him.
They can hide him. Yeah. But if the offense continues to, I don't think they're going to struggle all the time. I think it's just going to be a streaky thing like it normally is. But I feel like if the rest of the offense picks up and he can hide a bit, it won't be as noticeable and it won't be as pressing for them to have to get rid of him. But it'll be interesting because, like, what could they get for him if they try to deal him? Like, I don't know. That's an interesting.
I think that's why a lot of fans are saying that the Yankees should have traded him when he had more value, because right now his value is not very high.
Right.
There's still some value though. What's his contract status?
Don't mind me. I just noticed a cut on my foot that I didn't even know I had. This is what happens when you have cats. Sometimes they scratch you and you have no idea. Maybe it happens in your sleep, and then you suddenly look and you're like, oh, where'd that come from? I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 more years of team control after this one. So, like, there's going to be value because he has team control.
Right. And then, maybe another team will take a flyer on him because they'll think change of scenery.
Yeah.
No, not the same pressure in New York. And maybe he'll do better.
It's so tough because teams don't want to give up young talent and have them go perform somewhere else, because then
he's still young.
He's still look bad.
Yeah, and he's still really young.
He's 25.
Yeah, like, that's young. They're not in their prime yet.
Teams want to give up young talent and have them go elsewhere and perform, all of a sudden reach that potential that everybody thought they had in the other system, because it makes the first team look bad.
Right.
And there has been some questions about the Yankees' ability to develop talent in the last few years, because these guys like Torres and Andujar are sort of hitting a ceiling earlier than we thought we would. Now, is that scouting or is that development? Is it both?
Yeah.
Development is such an inexact science. It's a nonlinear path. Not every player has the same path, but there's so much pressure on you when you are like a hyped up prospect like Gleyber Torres, and this is what you're 3+ years into your career, and this is what's happening. People are saying, why didn't they trade him? Why didn't they trade him? It's so tough on a young player like that. And it's tough on the organization because they have to figure out, and it's such a gamble. Do they let him go and have him go be an all-star with, I don't know, Oakland, Tampa, Chicago, one of those teams? I don't know.
Do not do Tampa. Yankees, don't.
It's one. I mean, is another organization going to fix him?
Right.
Is it just a change of scenery, or is another organization going to fix him in the way that, it's tough. It's just tough to say. And it's when you have a young player like that with team control, they're cheap. It's you still think that, like, there's time. At what point does the clock run out on him?
Yeah. One other note about tonight, Amazon Prime game. It's their first one this season. So
lots of outrage over Amazon Prime games.
Yeah. If you don't have Amazon Prime, I'm sorry. You won't be able to watch it if you're here. If you're in Cleveland, you'll watch it on Bally Sports, but yeah, Amazon Prime Video. And then tomorrow, no starter listed for Cleveland, but Nestor Cortez in his 0.00 ERA and his, how many strikeouts does he have? 17? Is it that much? I just saw it. Where is it? 17 and 1 walk. 17 strikeouts to 1 walk. He is the Yankees ace right now. That man that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
With that mustache that he can never shave. He's never allowed to shave that thing off his face. He has to keep it. He's just amazing. And he's doing it in an era where you have these fireballers where everyone's averaging like 96, 97, 98. And he's just coming out like, hey, here's a 91 mile an hour fastball. Try and hit it. You know? I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's the greatest thing ever. And, he's just so much fun to watch. I mean, yes, his last start was against Baltimore, but they still have a couple of good hitters in that lineup, and he was making everyone look silly. So, yeah, it's fun to watch Nestor Cortes, and he will be starting tomorrow. And then on Sunday, it's a 1:35 start. I don't know why it's not 1:05, but it's Garrett Cole in his bloated 6.35 ERA, but 12 strikeouts against Aaron Civale. Is that how you say his name? Civale or Civil? I'm not sure, but he's 0-1 with a 6 point. Oh, that I think that's it. It's Savali. 0-1 with a 6.14 ERA. So we'll see which 6+ ERA pitcher will do better than the other. Like, who will? I'm hoping it's Cole.
There's a lot of pressure on him for the start.
You know, Yankee fans are hoping it's Cole, but you know, it's not like Cleveland is. They're pretty good at the plate. I mean, they beat up on Chicago this week, so
there's the storyline around Cole is. The questions are, if he has another bad outing, more of the questions about sticky stuff are going to happen again.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be really annoying for everybody involved. It's going to be annoying for his teammates who have to answer some of those questions. It's going to be even more annoying for Boone and for Cole himself. And it's going to happen if he only lasts a few innings.
Right.
Do I expect him to go 7 right now? No.
I would like 5. 5, Garrett. That would be 5 would be great. Maybe give up 2 runs. I mean, it's not like a quality start, but it's better than 1 2/3 innings.
It's just, you know, the shortened spring training. This is around the time guys would typically start in a normal year, going deeper into games, and their velocity is probably up.
Yes.
But this is a weird year.
Yes, it is. And it's not even that old yet. We're not even that far into it. And it's, of all the things that you would have expected, Nestor Cortes is the ace. Garrett Cole is your worst starter.
Just like you drew it up.
Just like they drew it up. So next week, you know, the Yankees are, they're playing Baltimore again. Hopefully they'll do okay. And the week after that, they head up to Toronto. And as we said on yesterday's show, as far as we know, they shouldn't have any problems getting into Canada. They shouldn't have any guys turned away at the border. But we'll find out the truth about that. Which, let's just cross our fingers that we don't have to deal with hearing about guys who aren't going to Canada because they can't go to Canada, because that's just on top of everything else. But through it all, the Yankees are still up there in the standings because it's too early in the season to, you know, like it's not like they're 1-11. So everything's okay. Everything's okay.
It's going to be okay, fans.
It'll be okay. It's only, what is it? April 22nd. It's okay. We have so much more season to go. We have so much more of this roller coaster to ride. But for now, that's it for this episode of Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Abby and I would like to remind you that you can listen to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Odyssey. It's Odyssey, like audio. Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch and subscribe to us on YouTube, and when you get into your car, you can tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On MLB. Now make your second listen of the day Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues, both past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. One more thing, if you could be so kind, please rate the podcast and spread the word about this podcast to your fellow Yankee fans. We'd really appreciate it. Happy Good Friday to my fellow Greeks and Christos Anesti for Sunday. Happy Easter, and enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you all next week. Let's hit that again. There we go.